some student put F and G together, and that's what they got. We have to work backwards, guys. If we have, and this is called decomposing. We are decomposing right now. So fun to decompose. So remember, for the sake of us always being on the same page, listen, there are an infinite number of possibilities to come up with f of x and g of x. There's no one right answer. However, you and I, we're just going to keep it simple. So remember, f of x is always your instructions. G of x is always your input. Factor B right now. Factor B. How when we factored that down? So our instructions are to square something. And after we square something, we're not done. We're going to multiply that by something. What are we going to multiply it by? 2. So f of x is going to say take some input and square it. After you square it, double it. Multiply it by 2. What was the input? X plus 5. Good. You have some input. Your input has been cubed. Then you're going to subtract 4 from it. Then you're going to take the square root from it. So can I factor that? Is there anything I can do to separate? No, there's not. So let's try to figure out what the instructions are. So remember, the instructions were to take some input. It's been cubed, by the way. And we're going to subtract 4 from the input. And then what are we going to do? Take the square root. The square root's part of the instructions. So, our instructions, let's just say we're going to have some input. And we're going to subtract 4 from it. G of x is the input. Remember, G of x is what you put in for the letter x. What's the only difference here? It's cubed. The input, what's the input? X cubed. That's it. That's all that is. Problem. First of all, I'm going to look to see if I can simplify or, factor anything. I can't. So I'm going to go straight to my instructions. The only thing I really know about my instructions is they want me to divide. How do I know they want me to divide? There's a fraction bar there. So f of x has to have something to do with division. The numerator, I know there's a numerator there. Let's start there. Let's say the numerator is just x. If the numerator is just x, then what's the input? X minus 3. Okay? Let's kind of keep that going. The denominator is the hard part. So if you notice, the numerator and the denominator are not the same. If the input is x minus 3 and I ended up with an x minus 7, then there's an x here for sure, but there's also something else because those don't match. So think about what's happening here. We have some fraction. I don't even care what's on the top. Top doesn't matter. I know that it was x plus something. We dropped in an x minus 3, and we ended up with an x plus 7. Has to be a plus 10. Good job. Y'all, there was a plus 10 already there. So let's just kind of substitute in and see what happens. All right, those are our instructions. That's our input. We're going to put an input at the top. We're going to put an input at the bottom. But remember, there was already a plus 10 there. Is that going to bring us back to h of x? It is. So we know that our instructions and our input are right.